the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Carter. The prayer will be offered by the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Carter.
Thank you. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your privilege and your honor for allowing us to attend today's house session. We thank you for your utmost respect to our colleagues and everybody else being here today. We ask you to pray over us during our house session today. We ask for your ultimate respect. In the name of Jesus, we say amen.
Amen. The chair announces to the House the approval of the journal pursuant to Clause 1 of Rule 1. The chair will lead the House in the Pledge of Allegiance. Members, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which she stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The chair will entertain up to 15 requests for 1-minute speeches from each side of the aisle.
Mr. Speaker.
The majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would just like to, before we get off to a start today, I just want to thank my fellow representatives in the House Republican Conference for electing me as their leader of the People's House. It is a true pleasure to serve as the leader of the Republicans in the People's House, and I can't wait to be working with both Democrats across the aisle to get work done for the American people. And with that, I yield.
The gentleman yields.
Mr. Speaker.
Was that the gentleman from Arizona?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You're recognized.
Thank you so much. Oh, I used the wrong button. Let me stand up and go up here. Sorry. Let me give me 1 second, sir. Okay, there we go. It is such a pleasure to be here on this so earthly floor today, on the House floor. It is with deepest honor that I come on this floor today as a member of the United States House of Representatives for the 16th Congress. I'm so grateful for everybody in my district, Arizona's 7th Congressional District. I'm here today because of the power of them, and they sent me here to work for them. My first act was an education bill. The education bill. My first act was the education bill. The education bill will ensure that every high schooler, every middle schooler is well counseled, whatever the word is. Ensure they are well counseled within their schools. Mental health is a serious problem, and we should start addressing it like a mental health issue and not as a different issue. Furthermore, moving down from my education bill, I introduced articles of impeachment. Now, many people supported these articles of impeachment even
The gentleman's
before.
time has expired. It has been 1 minute. Does any other member seek recognition? All right, very well. Seeing none, are there any motions?
Mr. Speaker.
The majority leader, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
To make a motion.
What is your motion?
I motion to move into a period of legislative business.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Seeing a sufficient second, the House now stands in a period of legislative business.
Mr. Speaker, I
majority
motion
leader.
to move. I motion to move into a period of immediate consideration on HR 3.
In the absence of a clerk, I will report the bill. HR 3, Supporting Democracy, Ending Terrorism Act of 2019. The House will be in a period of debate for a period of 1 hour, with time equally divided between the majority and the minority. The proponent being the majority leader, the gentleman from Delaware, and the opponent being Representative Carter, the representative from Arizona. The majority leader is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is all we need to know It's in the title. All we need to know is in the title. It's promoting democracy and ending terrorism. That's all we need to know. It's in the title. And with that, I reserve.
The gentleman reserves.
Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I actually be recognized for a period of 5 minutes to revise and extend my remarks for today's session.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you so much. I'm going to make this quick. I don't believe it's all up in the title because that's clearly wrong. But I want to point out a specific item in this bill. It says in state-sponsored terrorism, the United States shall halt all physical or humanitarian aid to terrorist groups such as whatever their first word is, Hamas, CCP, all the. Let it be clear that the United States does not fund any of these terrorist organizations, and if they do, there will be a question to ask Jim Roberts because he is the president or the State Department. But I mean, I'm pretty sure Jim Roberts is not funding Hamas or CCP or the communist revolutions or any of these things. We're not. Congress has not even approved of a budget that does these things. So this bill is pretty useless. It seems like we're just slapping things on the bill, slapping things on the bill and calling it a day. That's not how the house should operate. That's not how the house should work. I mean, are we slap? I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's quite disappointing. Bill, whatever his name is, Bill Stanton. He's a longtime member of this server. I mean, not server of this Congress, and he's just slapping things on bills. I mean, slapping them on them like they're condoms. There needs to be serious debate about this bill. I'm going to urge everybody to support this bill because I mean everybody to not support this bill because I mean Jim can be stupid, but he's not that stupid to fund Hamas. I mean, you have to be damn right. You have to be trans. You have to have a mental illness to support Hamas. Nobody in their right mind would fund Hamas. So I'm going to urge y'all not to support this bill because I mean everything in this bill is already being done. I mean that's all I have to say. Hamas is not being funded by the United States government. And with that, I reserve, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves. Does any other member seek recognition? Seeing none, all time for debate is expired and the previous question is ordered. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, no.
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 In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it and the bill is not agreed to.
Roll call.
There's a second. Is there a motion for a roll call vote? All members who are in favor will rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kevin, are you standing?
No. I'm sorry. I mean to sit down.
5 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Seeing a sufficient number of members having risen, the motion is agreed to and the roll call vote is ordered. In the absence of a clerk, I will call the roll. I'm just going to go down the list here. Let's see what we got here. Mr. Beasley.
Aye.
Mr. Beasley, aye. Mr. Hennings.
Aye.
Mr. Hennings, aye. Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Mr. Lee, aye. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter.
Nay.
Mr. Carter, nay. Mr. McGill.
Nay.
Mr. McGill, nay. Mr. Lord.
No.
Mr. Lord, no. Who's next? Guy. Mr. Lord, no. Mr. Foster.
Aye.
Mr. Foster, aye. Mr. Owens.
Nay.
Mr. Owens, nay. Mr. Morin.
Nay.
Mr. Morin, nay. And Mr. Harrell or Harrell.
Nay.
Mr. Harrell, nay. By 6-4, the noes have it. The bill is not agreed to.
Majority leader. Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Arizona, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I unanimously consent that the House move into a period of consideration on H.R. 5, Pregnancy Resource Center Defense Act of 2019.
Without objection, it is so ordered. Well, in the absence of a clerk, I will report the bill by title, H.R. 5, Pregnancy Resource Center Defense Act of 2019. The House now stands in a period of debate on the measure.
Mr.
The
Speaker,
proponent being the majority leader and the opponent being the gentleman from Arizona.
Mr. Speaker,
The gentleman from Arizona.
I ask to be recognized for a period of 5 minutes to revive and extend my remarks for today's session.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I haven't had enough time to read throughout this bill, but I can see it says to amend Section 248 of Title 18 United States Code to provide adequate penalties and remedies for attacks on facilities providing counseling about abortion, arsonists, and attacks on places of religion worships. I think this bill is very, very different. I like that it's providing penalties and remedies for attacks on facilities that provide counseling about abortion. But I'm going through and I'm seeing throughout the first section, I'm still reading, I'm sorry. In the second sentence, by inserting or 20,000 per violation. So it seems like we're just finding people. Violations, okay. Okay, moving down to section 3, destruction of buildings, vehicles, or property. Mr. Speaker, representatives, I think this is pretty well known already. When you attack a building, when you destroy a building, you get arrested for it already. I mean, if I go down there to Highway 187 and I see an abortion clinic or something and I destroy it, I'm going to get arrested. I mean, that's common sense. That's common sense. If I go down to a church and burn it, I'm going to get arrested. That's common sense. And I'm a Christian, I'm sorry. But I would never go down there and I have to do that. But if I did that, there's a pig on the floor, Mr. Speaker.
That's a hippo.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. If I were, whatever the word is, if I was to do that, I would be arrested. So once again, this bill is already in law. And it's just useless. I mean, if we saw a bill about pregnancy, abortions, and providing these things, then it would make sense to have this. And I think I see the idea that Mr. Bill had, but I don't see the effort. You could say. I mean, the bill is already in effect. You could say. So I'm going to disagree with this bill, and I'm going to urge all of my colleagues to vote in a negate. And I reserve, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
The gentleman reserves. The majority leader.
Yeah, I completely agree with my colleague across the aisle, and that's why I'm going to motion to table this until the next
The gentleman will
legislative
continue the
session.
motion.
But
Is
I'm
there a
gonna
second to the motion?
I second.
Seeing a sufficient second, further consideration of the item is postponed until the next legislative day.
Mr. Speaker.
The majority leader. The majority leader.
A motion to go in a period of immediate consideration on HR 12.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Seeing a sufficient second, the House now stands in a period of consideration on HR 12. In the absence of a clerk, the chair, will report the bill by title. HR 12, American Trucking Act of 2019. The House is now in a period of debate with time equally divided between the majority and minority.
Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I actually recognize for a period of 5 minutes to revive and extend my remarks for today's session.
The gentleman is recognized.
Now, although me and Mr. Norton disagree on a lot of things, I think we can agree when it comes to American trucking. I remember back in the day, I think it was 1965. I was on one of those big rigs, and I was just flying down. I mean, you could see the seat moving up in the air. I mean, because I was a little hefty back in the day. And, the seat was just moving, and the truck was just shaking. You know how to, yeah. Anyhow, and anyhow, that's beside the point. I think this is a fabulous bill. The bill goes into detail. It shows you where the money is being allocated to, and so forth and so on. So I think Mr. Norton had great ideas and great passion when he wrote this bill. So I'm going to urge all of my colleagues to support this piece of legislation and vote in the affirmative. Because if you have ever ridden in a bus or a big yellow bird, even if you ride in a short yellow bus, if you're on the spectrum, you can feel the seats moving. So I think that's real good. So I'm gonna I'm gonna
The
reserve
House
the
be in
remainder of
order.
my time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves.
Mr. Speaker,
The majority leader. For what purpose do you seek recognition?
I revise and extend my remarks.
Okay. The gentleman's recognized.
We have some people on the short bus, but I'm
The House be in order.
gonna support this bill because we need to save the truckers' jobs. So that's why I'm gonna motion with unanimous consent that we vote on this bill.
The previous question is already ordered, Mr. Majority Leader.
So then I yield.
The
Mr.
gentleman
Speaker.
yields. The gentleman from Alabama, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Parliamentary inquiry.
The gentleman will state his parliamentary inquiry.
Can the House proceed on an item if the sponsor is no longer the representative?
Yes. Yes. Does any other member? The gentleman yields. Does any other member seek recognition? Seeing none, all time for debate has expired. The previous question is ordered. All those in favor will say aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The bill is agreed to, and the motion to reconsider is made and laid upon the table.
Mr. Speaker,
The majority leader.
motion to move into period of immediate consideration on HR 13.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seeing a
Second.
sufficient second, the motion is agreed to. In the absence of a clerk, I will report the bill by title. HR 13, Border Security Act of 2019. The House now stands in a period of debate on the measure, with time equally divided between the majority and minority. Does any member seek recognition? Does any member seek recognition? Does any member seek recognition?
Mr.
Seeing
Speaker,
none, the majority leader.
I withdraw.
The gentleman withdraws his motion. Seeing none, it is assumed that all time for debate has expired. The previous question is ordered. All those in favor will say aye.
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 Those opposed, no.
Nay.
And I missed you, James. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to.
Mr. Speaker,
The majority leader.
I motion move into a period of immediate consideration on HR 14.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seeing a sufficient second, the House now stands in period of consideration of HR 14. In the absence of a clerk, I will report the bill by title. HR 14, a bill to amend the Personal Responsibility and Work Accountability Act of 1996 to strengthen the focus of welfare programs. Time for the House now stands in a period of debate on the measure. All time has been equally divided between the majority and minority. Does any member seek recognition?
Hello.
Going once. Going twice.
Mr. Speaker.
Who was that?
It was Carter.
Oh, for what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask to be recognized for a period of 5 minutes to advise me and extend my remarks for today's session.
The gentleman is recognized.
Parliamentary inquiry.
The gentleman will state his parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, can you state what bill we're on?
HR 14, a bill to amend the Personal Responsibility and Work Accountability Act of 1996 to strengthen and focus of welfare programs. Okay. Does any member seek recognition?
All right, I'm here. Is it HR 14, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I have the bill pulled up. I'm gonna yield my parliamentary inquiry. I'm gonna resume my time on the floor. So I'm looking through this. Oh, I read. Okay, this is the bill that we were talking about earlier. Me and the other Free House Democrats. I have no problem against this bill. I would say the only concern is when it comes to funding. If the funding is made a bit more clear, I think that's about it. And I'm pretty sure that the Senate or Joshua Kennedy, if that's his name, or Brandon Kennedy, I forgot what his name is nowadays, but I'm sure he would have no problem amending this for funding. But other than that, it's in good tech and it has good purpose. So I urge all of my colleagues, Democratic colleagues and Republican colleagues, to vote in the affirmative on this.
The gentleman yields. Does any other member seek recognition? Seeing none, all time for debate has expired, and the previous question is ordered. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, no.
What the hell?
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to.
Y'all couldn't get a stay. Mr. Speaker,
The majority leader.
I motion moving to a period of consideration on HR 15.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Seeing a sufficient second, the House now stands in a period of consideration of HR 15. In the absence of a clerk, I will report the bill by title. HR 15, Tennessee Tornado Emergency Relief Act. The House now stands in a period of debate with time equally divided between the majority and minority.
Mr. Speaker,
The majority leader. For what purpose do you seek recognition?
to revise and extend my remarks.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know you're from Tennessee, so this really hits home for you, but these tornadoes were very disastrous in your home state.
Does any other member seek recognition? Seeing none, all time for debate has expired. The previous question is ordered. All those in favor will say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the bill is agreed to.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Are there any motions?
I do. I think the majority leader is going through something. So just give me 1 second while I pull up the agenda again. We just passed HR 14, correct?
HR 15.
All right, Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the House consider Res 9, a resolution relative to the service of Drake Norton.
Without objection, so ordered, the House now stands in a period of consideration of House Resolution 9. In the absence of a clerk, I will report the resolution. House Resolution 9, a resolution relative to the service of Drake Norton, a representative from the state of North Carolina. Resolved that the United States House of Representatives expresses its deepest gratitude to Representative Drake Norton for his dedication and commitment during his service to the House as the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Arizona, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I actually recognize for a period of 5 minutes to revive and extend my remarks for today's session.
The gentleman is recognized.
I don't agree with Mr. Norton on a lot of things, and I'm not going to agree with the speaker here today, or whoever decided to write this bill. If we were to write every bill, resolution relating to the services of people, we would have wrote one for the senator who resigned the other day. We wrote one for Mark Bullock. We would have wrote so many of these resolutions, but we're writing one for Drake Norton, and with due respect to the speaker, under the leadership of Drake Norton, the House didn't have a session for 5 days. Now, if we want to relay that, I mean, we can, but we have to use our common sense here. When we are writing these resolutions to express our gratitude, I'm quoting this in my chair. I know Roblox is quoting this. If we were going to write these expressing our gratitude, we should have wrote one for every single representative who have resigned. We should have wrote one for every single person who has resigned, because yes, Drake Norton has done things as representative. He's done great things, just like his amazing American Trucker bill that we just passed. But we cannot show favoritism when it comes to things like this, because when we show favoritism, mental health is a serious issue. Myself suffered. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. Myself suffered from mental health issues a few years ago, back around 2015. Anywho, that's not the point. I will support this piece of legislation to an extent of, if we pass this for Drake Norton, we have to be willfully welcoming in the future. I do respect Drake Norton. I do respect what he did in the coming days before the little incident where we didn't have a session for 5 days. But the fact still remains that if we express our deepest gratitude for Drake Norton, we have to do it to every other person. I won't say every other person because that's a little dramatic, but other people who have served this chamber with great knowledge, passion, and dedication. So, say if the speaker resigned, we should do the same thing. I'm not saying you'll resign, but we should do the same thing to you. Say if another great legislator in this chamber decides to resign, we should do the same thing to them. And with that, I'm going to reserve, Mr. Ricker. Thank you.
The gentleman yields. Does any other member seek recognition? Seeing none, all time for debate has expired, and the previous question is ordered. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted.
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Arizona, for what purpose do you seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, seeing there's nothing on the agenda, Mr. Speaker, I rise today to make a motion following. I ask unanimously consent that the House, when it finishes business, that the House adjourn until the next legislative day.
Is that you say unanimous consent? I'm sorry.
Yes, I said unanimously consent, sir.
Great. Without objection, it is so ordered. The House do stand adjourned until the next legislative day. Gavel, gavel, gavel.
Woo! I'm just so grateful for all the attendance.
Let me end this. Oh, did someone already end the